Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, for 1 year as we read through St. Faustina's diary. Join me, Amy Thomas, each day for a short reading out of the diary which brought us a deeper understanding of Christ's divine mercy. Hello, Catholic pilgrims. It's day 101 of our readings from St. Faustina's diary. And today we are going to read a little bit darker passage today. It's, not too uplifting, I would say. And it kind of brought back a lot of memories of my criminology and counseling days. So that's what I'm going to talk about when we're done with our readings. So our readings today are from Notebook 1, numbers 424 through 428. A certain moment, May 12th, 1935. In the evening, I just about got into bed, and I fell asleep immediately. Though I fell asleep quickly, I was awakened even more quickly. A little child came and woke me up. The child seemed about a year old, and I was surprised it could speak so well, as children of that age either do not speak or speak very indistinctly. The child was beautiful beyond words and resembled the child Jesus, and he said to me, "Look at the sky." And when I looked at the sky, I saw the stars and the moon shining. Then the child asked me, "Do you see this moon and these stars?" When I said yes, he spoke these words to me. "These stars are the souls of faithful Christians, and the moon is the souls of religious. Do you see how great the difference is between the light of the moon and the light of the stars? Such is the difference in heaven between the soul of a religious and the soul of a faithful Christian." And he went on to say that true greatness is in loving God and in humility. Then I saw a soul which was being separated from its body amid great torment. Oh Jesus, as I am about to write this, I tremble at the sight of the horrible things that bear witness against him. I saw the souls of little children and those of older ones about 9 years of age emerging from some kind of muddy abyss. The souls were foul and disgusting, resembling the most terrible monsters and decaying corpses. But the corpses were living and gave loud testimony against the dying soul. And the soul I saw dying was a soul full of the world's applause and honors, the end of which are emptiness and sin. Finally, a woman came out who was holding something like tears in her apron, and she witnessed very strongly against him. Oh, terrible hour at which one is obliged to see all one's deeds in their nakedness and misery. Not one of them is lost. They will all accompany us to God's judgment. I can find no words or comparisons to express such terrible things. And although it seems to me that this soul is not damned, nevertheless its torments are in no way different from the torments of hell. There is only this difference, that they will someday come to an end. A moment later, I again saw the child who had awakened me. It was of wondrous beauty and repeated these words to me. True greatness of the soul is in loving God and in humility. I asked the child, "How do you know that true greatness of the soul is in loving God and in humility? Only theologians know about such things, and you haven't even learned the catechism. So how do you know?" To this he answered, I know all things." And with that, he disappeared. But I could no longer get to sleep. My mind became exhausted by thinking about the things I had seen. Oh, human souls, how late you learn the truth. Oh, abyss of God's mercy, pour yourself out as quickly as possible over the whole world, according to what you yourself have said. So like I said, this is a kind of a dark reading. And what Sister Faustina here is seeing, she's seeing a soul that has died. And we know that when we die, our soul is separated from our body, and this particular soul is experiencing great torment. And it's so bad that she is like trembling as she writes it. What she sees next are souls that come out and bear witness to this soul. It's almost as if the soul is now in front of the judgment seat of God, and all the bad deeds of this person's life are now being brought forth. And so all the souls that this person has hurt or caused pain to or anything negative like that are coming out to bear witness against him. And it's horrible this soul has young children coming out against him and older ones, and they're emerging very foul and disgusting, almost as if their lives were destroyed because of what this person did. And then you have a woman who is coming, and she's carrying something like tears. Maybe possibly this was this person's wife, and he was bad to her, and she's carrying all her tears in her apron, all the times that she was hurt by him. And Sister Faustina says, "O terrible hour at which one is obliged to see all one's deeds in their nakedness and misery. Not one of them is lost. They will all accompany us to God's judgment." That's kind of a frightening sentence, isn't it? It is true. All of our deeds are going to be displayed in front of us, and things that we have forgotten about, or things that we just didn't even pay attention to, that we didn't think really bothered anybody, we're going to see how they affected people. And maybe those souls will come out against us and witness against us, and it will be terrible because we will see the domino effect of what we did. And that can't feel good. When I was counseling, one of the things I learned really quickly, honestly, you can go to school for forever, but nothing prepares you for counseling like just getting in there into the muck of it all. And people's lives are so complicated. And, you may learn in school about bad things that happen to people, but when you are faced with the reality of hearing and seeing how it's really affected somebody because they're sitting right across from you, bawling their eyes out, or looking like their soul is gone because they're so sunk in despair, it's a hard thing to handle. And so when I started counseling, there were people that would come to see me, and at first I was super, gung-ho, I was going to save the world. I'm sure every counselor feels that way at some point. But there were some souls that came to see me, and I knew really quickly that they were beyond human help. Not that we should just give up on them or not love them or be charitable to them, but they had been so wounded by people that claimed to love them, that they were beyond human help. Sometimes the scars that people inflict on each other just cut so deep that they can only be healed by the divine physician. And so it was difficult for me to handle those types of people because I didn't know what to do with them. Now, it's not like I was the best counselor in the world. There are other counselors out there that they could have gone to, and there's other people that are way more skilled in that area than I am. But there is a look, and there is a level of despair that just goes beyond this world. And some of the things that I had to listen to and hear about, they stick with you. And each time, when I would hear somebody's horrific story and, listen to it without totally grimacing and being completely shocked so that they didn't want to tell me anymore because they couldn't think that I could handle it, to have to listen to that and kind of share that burden with them, in a way was a great honor for me, because that's some hard stuff to tell other people. But it also made me very, very sad because I just didn't know what to do with them. And, I prayed for them, and I tried to find ways to help them get out of that sunken state. And just many of them were probably going to stay in that place forever. Now, nothing is impossible with God, but you got to get them to that point where they'll even receive something like that. And that was a very hard thing to do. But what amazed me was the level of pain people will inflict on other people. And there are so many people walking around who have deep, deep scars. And they act out in all kinds of ways. Drug use, anger, being very sexually promiscuous, drinking all the time, self-loathing. There's so many ways. And someday the people that hurt them are going to see what they've done to these souls. man, that is not going to be a fun day. That is not going to be a fun day. So just as something to remember, it's so important that we pray for people, obviously. Like I said, nothing is impossible with God, and possibly our love and charity can rise a person out of the depths of misery. But the other thing is just to be aware of people. We often live in this bubble where all we think about is me, myself, and I. And there are so many hurting people out there in the world that sometimes if we just show a bit of kindness, it will go a long, long way. So often when I look around, I see everybody living in their bubble. Now, obviously, we can't go around and be concerned about every single person because there's just not time in the day. But just be aware. Just look up once in a while. Just smile at somebody. Offer a compliment. There are so many hurting people out there that just being ignored is painful. As we read through this, just be reminded of how our actions can affect other people. Sometimes what we think is just something not that big of a deal can really wound another person. And so it's important that we're mindful of that. And definitely pray. Pray for those that you know are hurting deeply. Pray for those people who you know are hurting people deeply. Because miserable people tend to make other people miserable. And that's just a bad, vicious cycle. So that's all for today, Catholic Pilgrims. I will see you back here for day 102. And until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.